Welcome back everybody. Today I'm going to do a video showing you how to save a few pounds on a basic repair. So what we are going to do is we're going to run through how to change the bearings on a sealed cartridge bottom bracket like this. These are the bearings, so let's show you how it's done. So these are the bottom brackets I'm talking about. It's the cartridge bearing with a square taper. It's generally found on older or cheaper bikes nowadays. We don't see many of them on sort of modern bikes, but it's this thing here. Generally speaking, most people just change this out for a brand new one. And I fully understand why. It is quick and easy. What you can do to save yourself a few pounds is just change the bearings. So it's very simple to change and very cheap. A lot of people will just say, yeah, just fit a new one, it's cheap, and I get it. I do fit new ones to customers' bikes. I'm showing you how you guys can do it yourself. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, 90% of this bottom bracket is reusable. The shell is fine, the cups are fine, the axle is fine. The only thing that's broken in this is the two bearings. The rest of this is going to go forever, basically. It's a solid steel axle, so all we need to do is change the bearings. It's going to work for some people, maybe not so much for others. You save yourself a fortune. You can buy sort of 6 of these bearings on AliExpress for £7, and that's kind of, if you get a year out of a set of bearings, you know, you're doing sort of £2 or £3 a year for bearings rather than £15–20 for a new bottom bracket every time. So it's well worth doing if you can just stock up on some bearings. They are easily available. There's kind of 2 different sizes, so I'll show you what the difference is. There are a few that you can't do. So this is a Shimano BB-UN25. Basically the bearings are sort of peened over and you cannot get these out. So I will cut this in half and show you why you can't get those out, but generally speaking, the vast majority of these you can do pretty easily. So I'm going to use a hydraulic press. I'm going to show you the correct way of doing it, but I'm also going to show you sort of an easier way of doing it. You can use either a vise or you can use a hammer really if you want to. Ultimately you may damage the bearings fitting it with a hammer, but it certainly can be done and it's quick and easy. So let's show you how it's done. We'll start with this unit here. Firstly, all you need to do is just pull off the left hand cup like this. That normally just pulls off. That exposes one bearing. The other one is obviously underneath this cup here. So we'll press this out and I'll show you how to get to them. Like I say, you don't need a hydraulic press to do this. It's just the right way of doing it. So all you need to do is set the bottom bracket in here with the edge of it just hanging over. So what we're going to try and do is press this axle through that cup. They do normally come out pretty easily, so it shouldn't take very much pressure. I mean, that's literally just fell out pretty much on that one there. What I would recommend doing is marking off which side of the axle is the right hand side, because there can be different lengths within this cup, and when it's all in pieces, quite often they're not marked up and you don't know which side was the drive side, and they are different lengths. So once you press that cup off, you will find this shell rattling around in the middle, so we need to get the bearings off. Obviously these bearings are damaged, so it doesn't matter if we're kind of fairly brutal with them to get them off, but I'll show you the easiest way to do it. So the easiest way I find is to use a crown race puller, which is a tool like this. It's basically just a standard automotive small bearing puller, but it is sold as a crown race puller. So just back this off until you can get it underneath one of the bearings, like so. Tighten these down loosely. You don't need to go crazy, it's just something to support the bearing while it's being pressed out. Just support the crown race puller and just press that out. Again, they're not normally very particularly tight. That's off, so now obviously this comes straight off and we just need to remove this second bearing. What I should have mentioned first is obviously wear safety glasses when you're using a press. And that should just pop out again. That's that. So we have the axle that we've marked with the right hand side. There are markings on this, but it doesn't tell you which is the right hand side. Essentially this line is indicating that, but it's not clear. And we can see these are different lengths, 40.066 and around about 43-ish on this side. Not much difference, but enough to make a difference to the chain alignment. So these bearings are 163110, which is a very common size. You will also find some that are 173110. The difference is the 173110 is a 17mm centre bore, and the 163110 is a 16mm centre bore. Clues in the name really, 17 and 16. You might not know until you've got the unit apart though. Just clean the axle around the actual bearing seats itself. Make sure you've still got your right marked up. Add some grease onto the axle and just put the bearing on there. And we need to press this bearing on. Plenty of grease, and then use the old bearing to protect that when you press it on. Support that on the press there. Just add grease to the inside of the cup. And we can just push this in. It may need a little bit of a press. Quite often they just drop straight in. That's in. So you can see inside that it's bottomed out against the cup. If it didn't need pressing in, obviously you'd support this cup here and press the axle down gently until it stops, but this one doesn't. So next, just drop this sleeve back over. That will press into there as well very slightly. It's really just a dust cover, it doesn't do a great deal, and a bit of a spacer. So just line that up and we'll press it in. Just line it up and give it a little press. That's pretty much it. It doesn't go very far. Second bearing now, so just add some grease onto that shaft, pop the new bearing on. Again, use the old one just to push it on with. We'll get this in the press. Just support it on the plate again and press. Done. Stops dead on this cover anyway. New bearings fitted, basically brand new unit really. So we'll go for another couple of years, and then again a couple of quid you do the same thing again. It's really quite easy. I mean, obviously a hydraulic press makes it super easy. What I'll do now is show you how to do it on a vise. It's very similar, it's just not quite so pretty. Most people will have a vise, so all you need to do is gently support the top cups on the edge of the vise. Don't clamp it because you'll damage the threads. Just literally support it there loosely, and then you need a hammer. You can use a soft face dead blow hammer, which kind of less brutal, but this is a copper face mallet, so it's not going to damage the steel axle. So just tap this axle through, and that's out. Again, we're not too worried about damaging the old bearings because we're replacing them anyway. So that leaves one bearing still on the axle. Don't forget to mark the right hand side. Just rest this bearing over the vise again gently. Just tap it off. There's one out. Have a punch or something similar, or socket that's going to fit into the bearing itself. And we'll just tap the bearing out again. That's the center cover that came off. There's the bearing out. Again, 163110 on these. I'm going to refit these old ones. This unit is going in the bin anyway, but for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll reuse the old ones. So first things first, obviously we've got to get the drive side bearing into its cup. Just a reversal of what we've just done. So again, add some grease into here to make it a bit easier. I'm just going to clamp this bearing in gently on, and keep it straight in the vise, and just slowly clamp it in until it starts going. Just make sure it goes in straight. We're going to use a socket to finish pressing that in. This is a 22mm, but just get something that fits directly on the edge of the bearing, not on the plastic bit. So just line that directly up and press that in. Shouldn't go very much further, should only a couple of millimeters. And that's that bearing fitted. Now we need to refit the drive side axle to the right hand side. Again, a little bit of grease. Just push that on. Now what we need to do is press this into here. Again, get another socket that's going to fit on the outside of this cup. Press this on. Should go in pretty easily. And that's it. Again, when you feel it stop, just stop. Don't try to keep pressing it because you will damage it. So that's the drive side done. Refit this center sleeve. You can see it only goes in sort of 1mm anyway, so it doesn't go particularly hard. So you should be able to just tap this in, rest that on there, just tap it on. And that's that in. Now all we need to do is fit this drive side bearing. Again, grease that up, get this bearing on. So obviously you will have an old bearing because you're fitting new ones, so use your old bearing to press the new one on. Again, just using a socket. And it'll stop against this shell. That's it, stopped. Look at that. Old bearing off, and that's that one done as well. So I've just used the old bearings here just to show you how it's done, but you can do it in a vise, no problem really, to be fair, as long as you've got some sockets and whatnot. But if you've got a press, then for sure use a press. So the Shimano BBUN25 that I showed you earlier, I'm going to cut this in half to find out why we can't actually change these bearings. I suspect this here and this here have been peened over after pressing the bearings in, so you can't get into it. So I'm going to use a grinder, obviously safety glasses on the guard. Okay, so I've cut most of the way through that. I'm just going to split it now rather than Trying to cut every single last piece, it should come off pretty easily. I didn't cut this side completely through. There you go, so that's in half now. The other side's not quite all the way through, so there is some grease in there. Let's clean this up and see if we can work out what's going on. So you can see the bearing race is actually part of this case, it's cut right through it. So there's no way, there's basically no bearings in there. The shell is basically the bearing race. So quite a clever design really, but obviously it does make it non-replaceable, unfortunately. So yeah, if you ever wonder what's inside one of those, that's what's there. Quite intrigued out about how they've actually done that, to be fair. That's a pretty clever design. So yeah, nice and easy job really, to be fair. Like I say, a lot of people are just going to replace the whole bottom bracket, and I get it, it's fine, not a problem. But for those people who want to kind of try and recycle, and maybe you've got 2 or 3 bikes, it's the same sort of issue, then it's going to soon add up when you're changing a new bottom bracket on every bike. So get yourself an AliExpress, grab sort of 6 bearings for sort of £7, I think I looked last time, and that will keep you going for not much at all really. So anyone with sort of basic tools and a vise really can do this. If you've got a press, obviously use it, it makes life a lot easier and quicker, but yeah, not difficult. So I hope you enjoyed that, and stay tuned for more sort of DIY videos coming, service videos, and some comparison videos of various parts, tubes, grips, etc, etc. And like and subscribe, all that great stuff. Channel's growing pretty rapidly now, to be fair, so thanks for everyone's support, going in the right direction. See where we are this time next year. Thank you very much.